everyone, welcome back to another video, and it's about time that we get back into making lore videos. And so today we are actually going to be looking more into the idea of heavens and hells. And I recently got into this whole idea after reading Dante's Inferno. Don't ask, don't judge me. Every once in a while, usually a pirate or something would kind of swear in this game, and well, since they can't usually have like real bad language there, they came up with the curse of 7 hells. So, what exactly are the 7 hells? Well, after doing some research about it, it turns out that there are both 7 hells and 7 heavens thought of in this whole world of Final Fantasy XIV, at least in the parts of Eorzea. Now, according to them, every god and goddess of the 12 is advocated with one of the 6 controlling elements. With the deities deemed their work on Eorzea complete, they proceeded to create the firmament, the result being 6 astrally aligned heavens aspected to each of the 6 elements, and a final 7th heaven to rule them all. However, a residential product of these heavens were 6 similarity aspected hells ruled by an all-encompassing umbral aligned 7th hell. So the 6 lower heavens are represented in the 6 by 6 constellations, or rather the star formations, which astrologians also perceive as the gates that, when open, can allow a person to become attuned to the heavens and manipulate their ether. These constellations revolve around the polar star, which is believed to be the gate to the 7th and final heaven. Now, while some sects of the 12 worship have views on the afterlife, most of them believe that the righteous are promised a place in the heavens, while sinners are doomed to an eternity of punishing trials in the hells. A belief that was made popular by a famous playwright of the 6th astral era states that upon an evil man's death, he will fall into a hell that corresponds to the sins he committed in his lifetime. After he suffers through an eternity in payment for these sins, he must journey through the remaining 5 upper hells and witness the sins of his brothers before finally arriving at the gate of the 7th hell, where his heart will be weighed. If it is heavy with sorrow and repentance for what he had done, he will be sent to the heavens. But if it remains light, he will be admitted to the 7th hell, where he will suffer forevermore. That's pretty dark and depressing, but that's an actually really interesting way to look about it, because even after you die a horrible death, like you were just this most vile, awful person in life, there is still that faint hope of redemption and being saved in the end, which I do kind of like. So what exactly are the 7 heavens and hells like? Well, we're just going to go over all of them. All except for the 7th heaven and the 7th hell, since not much information is known about them. And it was actually stated, I think, in a letter from the producer that they originally intended it to be just the 6 sevens and hells. However, that didn't sound nearly as good as 7 hells. So they just added the 7th heaven and hell, I suppose, just because they just wanted to swear in the game. Which is hilarious when I stop to think about it. So, we don't really have any information on what the 7th heaven and 7th hell are like. However, since these are probably the most important of these heavens, so like the 7th heaven is probably where only the most righteous, most virtuous, like the best heroes end up going to. And the 7th hell is basically where the worst of the worst are condemned to. And that's basically what I'm getting the picture of. But moving on, we shall talk about each one of the 7 heavens and hells and what they're like, as well as what one has to do in order to be sent to these specific heavens and hells. A lot of fun to at least speculate and guess, but moving on. We will be starting off with the very first heaven and hell, which is known as the heaven and hells of fire. In the heaven of fire sprawls an endless city built by Nothald from golden bricks fired in the heat of Azuma's sun. Here reside the just and the fair, the honest and the palatopic. So just imagine being able to live inside of a golden city for all of eternity. As for the hell of fire, it was formed from when the rubble left over from the creation of its heavenly counterpart was cast from the firmament and into the dark pit and set alight. Here burned those who wrongly judged their peers, those who tricked their customers, and those who gave and received dossiers. So basically, it's kind of like your modern day interpretation of hell, like the famous concept of it being all fire and brimstone. Not a fun place to be. But moving on to the next heaven and hell, it's the heaven and hell of water. To create the river which runs through the heaven of water, Nemea melted a star to which Thaliak added the essence of knowledge, and then poured it forth from his ewer. Here reside the scholars and inventors, the teachers and the entrepreneurs. So I'm guessing it's kind of like a beautiful paradise, I'm guessing. Like a nice sunny beach I can picture, maybe lots of growing flowers, which actually would make a lot of sense when I stop to think about it, because naturalists, for one thing, would love a chance to be able to go out and study brand new, like, heavenly plants, I suppose. So I'm guessing, like, something related to their love of learning, like studying and being able to learn more about the world around them is what's promised to them in the afterlife. As for the water hell, though, from the bed of the celestial river did forsaken droplets fall into the pits, where they settled and stagnated, creating the hell of water. Here drowned deceivers, counterfeiters, mountebanks, and false prophets reside. I can see this place as being maybe like a deserted island in the middle of nowhere, and like you kind of being hit over and over and by storms. That's kind of the impression that first came to mind. I mean, what else can you really think of when it comes to the idea of a water hell? Moving on to the third heaven and hell, which is the heaven and hell of wind. In the heaven of wind rises a towering mountain range atop which Oskon looks out upon an endless sea, ruled by Limlane. Here rest explorers and adventurers, mountain climbers, saints, and those who rescued souls from peril. So here is an adventurer's paradise, being able to go wherever you want, an entire world to see and explore, no boundaries, no rules, no limitations. You are free to go for as far as you want to. As for the hell of wind, though, rogue gusts from on high incite terrible tempests in the pit, creating the hell of wind. Here mountain bandits, defilers of land and sea, and pirates suffer as the air tears flesh from bone and soul from flesh. Basically, you are cursed to suffer for all eternity by being hit by strong, devastating winds and just being torn limb from limb. Yeah, they didn't mince around with that one, did they? I can only guess how bad the others are getting. Because I can kind of see that the heavens are kind of built for specific people and is their own little unique paradise, but the hells just seem to be getting worse and worse. Moving on to the heaven and hell of ice. We've actually heard a great deal about this from Ishgard and Heavensward, where they refer to it as Halone's palace. Now, in the center of this heaven rises a lofty palace of ice, ice made of frozen moonbeams and carved with the Fury's own spear. Here reside epic heroes and gallant knights, and the benevolent and the faithful. So, you basically are able to live in like this beautiful palace of ice. I'm guessing like Elsa's palace from Frozen. And I could think of a few souls that deserve a place of honor in these halls. But what about the hell of ice, you may ask? Well, good question. From Halone's gleamed palace do piercing icicles plummet into the pits, creating the hell of ice. Here suffer cowards, deserters, and adulterers. So I'm guessing that this hell is all about being skewered by these very large, very sharp spears of ice for all eternity, and doomed to feel extreme cold and just freezing over constantly. Yeah, like I said, these hells are getting worse and worse. But we're almost done. We are now moving on to the heaven and hell of lightning. In the heaven of lightning, one will find a towering clockwork spire built by Breitgart with metal forged from a comet and powered by Ralgor's Levenbolts. Here rest engineers and architects, revolutionaries and conquerors of evil. So I'm guessing that this will probably be like a personal heaven for someone like Sid or Garlong Ironworks. A place where you are surrounded by your peers and engineers, and you get to work and constantly build in like this clockwork city, like this clockwork tower. Again, it is a personal heaven for somebody who loves to build and create. But as for the hell of lightning, though, Levin charges fragments of the comets plummet to the pit to form the hell of lightning. a place of damnations for vandals, slumlords, and warmongers. So I'm guessing here you're struck by lightning bolts over and over and over again for all of time. That can't be fun. So moving on to the sixth and final heaven and hell that we'll be talking about for this video, the hell and heaven of earth. Now, to create the heaven of earth, Nofika planted a single sapling, which Altic instantly coasts to maturity by bending time itself. Under this mighty Cintio's boughs sit farmers and naturalists, historians, and archaeologists. Again, their own personal idea of what heaven would be, being surrounded by nature, caring for this gigantic tree, watching it sprout to life and continue to grow and spread. It does sound really pretty. As for the idea of the hell of earth, leaves fallen from the tree and left to rot in the pits are what create the hell of earth. Here lies buried thieves and defilers of nature, liars and revulsionists. So I can kind of see this as being stuck underground like for all time and just slowly being buried alive. That must be a horrible way to go. Yeah, so that there is all the lore that we know so far about the whole idea of the heavens and the hells of Final Fantasy XIV. We still don't know any information about what the seventh heaven and the seventh hell would be like, but like I said, I'm probably guessing that only like the very best of the best are able to go to the seventh heaven, and the very worst of the worst end up going to the seventh hell. So until we really get more information about the whole idea of like the whole religions here in Eorzea, and we get more lore about the seven heavens and hells, that's pretty much all that we're going to know for now. So what do you all think? Which idea of heaven is the best, and which of the hells is the worst? Please drop a comment down below on what you think, and let me know about which heaven that you personally would think that you belong best in. Like, which idea do you personally feel is your idea of heaven? Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you all enjoyed this video, and we'll be seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.